Good morning. Today I have a quick look video at a Saito engine, and I'm going to be providing some history on the Saito engine. Now, what I have here today is a recent acquisition. It's what I believe to be an original, one of the first releases of the Saito FA-50 engine. And what I've learned throughout a lot of the research and throughout the years, I know I've mentioned in other videos, the color of boxes for Saito engines has changed, at least in North America. I can't say what the colors were like in other countries, but in North America they've changed over the decades. Whereas in the 80s, many of the boxes, especially for small singles, look like this with the dark blue and the yellow or gold lettering on it. And then into the 90s, I was under the impression for many years that the 90s represented strictly these black and gold boxes that you see here. Well, I've come to find out that that's not necessarily the case. That the 90s were actually a two-box decade. Some of those boxes actually look like the one right here on this table, which is the one I've got now. It's a pale blue and yellow, or kind of a goldish pale yellow color. Now it looks like this was the box style that Saito used probably until at least maybe 92, maybe 93. And then after that, I believe, from what I can gather anyway, that they were gold boxes. But this is a Saito 50 engine, as you can see here, in this early 80s box. Now, through some research I found out, and through this review article, the Saito 50 engine came out in 1992. And I'm about to show you why I believe that I have one of the original releases of this engine. Now, this engine came just like this. It has two sets of instructions with it, which is what's cool, because they both tell me a little bit different stories. So I'm going to talk about the instructions first. One set of the instructions actually came with the engine that's in this box, and another one came with an FA-50 Gold Knight engine. So, real quick, I don't know how real quick this is going to be, because I like talking about these historical things. Here's the instruction sheet for the FA-50. Not the Gold Knight, just the standard FA-50. So it just says it FA-50 AHC four-stroke cycle engine, and it's only just that engine, nothing else. The rest of this manual is, pretty much a typical Saito manual. But the other part of the paperwork that's interesting about this is this consumer warranty card. And the warranty card here shows that to send this engine back for repair, at that time it was to P&P Enterprises, West Parker Road, Plano, Texas. So take note of that. P&P Enterprises, Plano, Texas. This second set of documentation that came with, see, that's the thing that's weird, is this one came with just FA-50 stickers, so I don't know if they belong in here, because I think the FA-50 Gold Knight ones would actually say Gold Knight on it, so those stickers might have actually gone with that. But this set of instructions shows for the FA-50 Golden Knight ABC engine. The other one said AAC. So again, same type of thing. However, this one also has a warranty card in it, if I can find it here, that is even different than that one, which is also very interesting. Consumer warranty and repair policy here. This one says A&M Aircraft Supply, Southcrest, Carrollton, Texas. So two locations in Texas that you could send these engines to for repair, replacement, warranty type stuff. I do not believe that these two places worked at the same time. I'm not sure, but I mean, why would one say one and the other? I don't know. All I know is this. Here's hard and fact history that you can find on the internet. As most of you know, Horizon Hobbies, let me pull this back in frame so you can at least look at this. Horizon Hobbies is, and has been for over 30 years, the exclusive distributor of Saito engines. All warranties would have gone through Horizon Hobbies after that point. So both of these sets of documentation prove out that if one of these is the original, came with this engine, which I'm sure one of them is, and I think it's this one here, came with this engine, that means that this engine predates 1993 for sure, possibly 1992, and let me tell you why I think it's 1992, which is the year that the Saito FA-50 came out. And we'll get to looking at the engine here eventually. But in another video, an OSFSR video, I said that sometimes you'll see a retail sticker on a box, and that's always a good sign because it usually means it's a pretty old engine and it came from a hobby store. Not always, but most of the time. And I also said that sometimes you can see a date code on these things. I think, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, if you're going to be able to see it in the camera or not, I believe I see a date code on this one. There's a price of $179.96 on this, which is when, you know, what they were charging back then for this. But the numbers above it say 070992. Like the sticker machine, the label machine that they use to put these labels on there. If you've ever worked at a grocery store and had to do these things, I have in the past. You could set the date that you're putting the label on the product. I believe that that's what this is, and if that's the case, that dates this box, at least having this label put on it, on the 9th of July 1992. So there you go, some more evidence that this is a really early release engine. Now, it came with basic hardware that you would get with a Saito engine at that time. I put this in here because the one thing this engine did not come with was a high-speed needle, which I thought was weird, but you know, whatever. Over the course of the years, people can lose things. So I do happen to have a brand new high-speed needle, and this document, or this is an older packaging too because of how this little packaging is. Here's our engine and the exhaust. So this engine, when I got it, was pretty much locked up. It was so tight, and I probably am going to need to replace the bearings, but I'm going to run it first just to make sure. But this is the engine. It's in really good shape, and despite the fact that it was really locked up initially, it turns over freely now. It's just, it's got a lot of compression, but the front feels kind of stiff to me. So what I have done to this off camera a few days ago when I got this was I put some 3-in-1 oil in here, and I took these off, rocker covers off. I oiled the engine up and I heated it up so I could at least get it to turn over and see if it had compression, see what the condition was. Oh man, it's got really strong compression. So original engine has throttle stop screw, the choke mechanism. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. You can see that the carb barrel has no gummy residue or any residue on there at all. The only place that I've seen any example of use here was, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, is on this exhaust valve stem. There is some carbon buildup on the exhaust valve stem. So I know this is a used engine even though it looks really good shape. I mean, look at these lugs even. Maybe it was run on a bench because I don't really see the indentation from like washers or screw heads on here, which I'm just now noticing that. I didn't notice that before. Unless maybe they had it in like a clamp type engine. I don't know. The engine has been run. It's definitely not brand new. But here's another key thing that you look for when you buy an engine and you're not really sure of how much time it's got on it. And this is also kind of one of those assumptions that you're assuming that all the hardware on the engine is original, which I'm assuming it is on this one. But look at this nut, the prop nut. See how there's very little of the oxidation or the coloring off of that nut. You can see that it's been touched, you know, very few times, because a lot of times what you'll see is these with a lot of the metal, the black oxide coating or whatever rubbed off, or the corners rounded off a bit. But on this, boy, I'm really having a hard time telling if I'm seeing this or not. There's very little on this prop nut, so it looks like it's really in good shape. Like it has had and I put a wrench on it one time to put a prop on it too, just so I could help facilitate turning it over. But other than that, it looks like maybe one or only two other times did it ever have a wrench touch this. So this engine is in incredible shape. The only thing I'm questioning is this choke mechanism moves really freely, and usually there's like a little Teflon ring that goes in there to help add as a friction device and help seal. I don't see one in here. I don't know if that fell out at some point in the past, if it was never there, or if that Teflon ring was something that they incorporated later on. I don't know. But all I know is that this is a really nice engine, and this is also what the original 50 exhaust look like. Now these tend to have a lot of wear, and the color comes off if they've been run a lot. A lot of times you'll just see this with the black paint. It's completely off of it. But this one looks like it's in really, really good shape. So I am pretty happy that I have scored what I believe is probably one of the first. It's a Saito 50 engine, probably from around the first, when they first released the engine, 1992. If I can believe that that label on there is actually a date code, and I already know for sure that Horizon Hobby did not take ownership or rights to distribute Saito engines until 1992. So you would not have these documents in here. You'd have something that says Horizon Hobby on here if this was past 1992. So with that said, I've got a pretty darn cool engine here, and like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the stand here at some point and run it and assess the bearing situation, and if the bearings don't feel smoother or make noise during that run, then I'm probably going to go ahead and do a complete teardown and replace the bearings on this engine, and that may be shot on video also. So anyway, that is a quick look at a vintage, I'll call, Saito FA-50 engine and some Saito history that goes along with it. So thank you for watching.